Welcome, everybody. Welcome back to Hunter Talk. Jordan, happy belated Father's Day. We're celebrating a day late by getting the fathers together with their children for a nice little Hunter Talk podcast.
Feels good. Good to be here. As always, Cole.
Feels great.
A nice gift from 100 Thieves on Father's Day this year.
Yeah, an excellent win, capping off a 2-0 weekend. It was just really solid all around, man. Just like an absolutely great weekend.
Yeah, just high kills in both games. Really not a lot to say.
Yeah, high dominance. Yeah, it's good.
Good showing.
Well, I guess even though there's not a lot to say, we're going to spend the next 70 minutes saying things about it. So we might as well let the people know this is 100 Talk, the 100 Thieves fan cast, where we talk explicitly and exclusively and extensively about 100 Thieves LCS. And
3 X's.
Yeah, from the fan perspective, not from the analysis perspective, because you would want to talk to someone smarter than us if that was the case. And you can find us on Discord, find us on Twitch, find us on Twitter at 100 Talk Pod, and join our community if you haven't already. If you're just listening to the podcast and nothing more, we encourage you to get in touch with us, even though we like the fact that you're listening to the podcast. But we've got a great community, and we're really happy to be here with all of you, especially when we're good.
That's the truth. That's the truth of it, Cole.
Yeah.
Look, we've made it through some times, but now we're just having a good time. We're just having fun.
That's right. Okay, so
hey, we're powered by Reapered.
Oh yeah, thank you for reminding me. Appreciate that. Always powered by the best tasting energy drink on the market. Taking a couple sips of the Rip to get us started tonight. Now, nice pour, by the way.
Thank you.
That was really just like a solid technique.
A classic.
Yeah. The all-American pour there. Look, I guess since, we're talking about the past games, even though we had a 2-0 weekend, we should probably talk about what happened right before the weekend, even though we don't want to, which was the CLG game.
The Friday exhibition match.
The Friday exhibition match against CLG that has no effect on the standings. I'm going to need to wake up. Here, you intro it because I got to reboot my brain.
Cole, on Friday, 100 Thieves played against a team called CLG, new to the LCS. This team of upstart veterans.
Sponsored by the Lyman Rust Remover.
Are they? I wouldn't doubt it.
Oh, that's CLR. My bad.
They're I didn't know that. That's good. That's a reference for the dads out there.
Shout out dads on the Father's Day episode.
CLG, Cole. This is one of those games where I kicked myself afterwards because I've had this feeling about CLG. And look, fair criticism to Levy. Say, sure you did. I'm sure you had a feeling. This is one of those teams where you look at them on paper and you're like, why are they the worst team in the league? They shouldn't be. They have a lot of people who have been very successful in the LCS. Granted, they're all probably a little long in the tooth at this point, but it's not like they got a bunch of scrubs who couldn't get picked up by anyone else. A lot of them have been dropped by other people. That's true. But I look at this team and I'm like, it doesn't make sense to me that they are the worst. And maybe that's changing. That trend is changing, perhaps, is what I'm here to say. Yeah. Is that possible? I lost my window that had your video in it for a second, so I was frantically around to see. Okay, I'm back.
Can't get through a pod without seeing my mug.
Yeah. So I just felt like I was talking to no one for a second there. But have you ever had that feeling about CLG? This split specifically, like you just look at it and you're like, dang. This is a surprise that it feels like they've been underperforming for some time. If you just look at their names on paper.
Yeah. Yes. But I kind of got used to it pretty quick. So I haven't really viewed them as relevant in a long time. But that's fine. Like we lost a game against a team that we shouldn't have lost a game to. All right. Yes. So the question is there a lesson from that? What does that mean about the team?
Yeah.
Is CLG really relevant? Well, just like Immortals, CLG just played us at seemingly the right time. You know, obviously they came alive this weekend and just destroyed everyone. They had a brand new toy to play with in the jungle, and they played with us first.
Did they draft Vi all 3 games?
I think they did it for at least 2. Let me see.
I thought 2. I can't remember. I don't think I saw.
Hold on, I'll have the answer in just a second.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just the first 2 that it got. It actually did not get banned out in the 3rd game by Dignitas, wow. But they played.
Did one.
Yeah, they played Lee Sin jungle and still won it. But yeah, look, the thing is, I'm going to just go ahead and say what a lot of other people have been saying, and that let's just talk first about the game itself. Yeah. Before we talk about if there's any signs of anything in the game.
Right.
And just like everybody said, man, the comp that they drafted was surprising and virtually impossible to play against unless you knew it was coming.
Oh, no. Yeah. It was a nightmare.
Yeah. It was an absolute nightmare. It's perma-CC comp. And that doesn't feel good. You know what I mean? Like, so we've got Vi, Set, Galio, Rakan in that comp. Kalista's the other one, because you need someone who can get somebody even further into the back line. So Kalista can throw him in there. Right. But look,
her ult is another. Yeah.
Right. Everybody there, you know, has that really annoying, like if one thing lands, everything is going to land, and you're not going to get to click for like 8 seconds, 10 seconds.
Yeah. It's insane.
So I don't look, because the thing is, we got absolutely smashed by him. We didn't get like barely beat. We didn't get base raced. We got destroyed. But I feel like within 10 minutes, it was just like, yeah, that's just the way it is today because of the comp.
This game is over.
Yeah. And so I don't know about you, but seeing that happen, I'm just like, I remember telling myself during the match, like, this probably isn't going anywhere and it's going to look worse and worse. I really don't care. I just don't care. I don't know if that's something wrong with me or not, but like, as this was happening, I just didn't care because of the comp they were playing.
Yeah. Yeah. It felt a little bit like a knuckleball team, right?
Yeah.
Where it's like, ooh, we didn't practice for that one.
Yeah. They pull out the submariner pitcher.
Yeah. Like, whoa, that's weird. Okay. There's one of those in the league, I guess, still. Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think it became what this taught me is that you can do this. This is possible to do, to pull off, to draft a composition in 2021 summer in the LCS that you cannot win against. I don't think there's a different version of that game where we play it differently or more smartly and it goes our way. I don't think that game exists in all of the different universes where this game was played. I think we lose them all.
Maybe if we draft like hyper early game, we get away with it.
But that's it. Like even the draft. So I guess if you say, hey, can we just go back and like redo the draft? Yeah, of course you have a good shot at it then. Like you can do a lot of things. Like this is not an unbeatable team. But if you don't draft specifically knowing that this is what's coming, it's kind of like, look, this is one of CLG's things now, I guess. And people are going to have to be careful. But like if you see in the first 3 drafts that they're starting to just do their use ults and win team, then make some bans, you know, approach the second round of bans differently. But yeah, like this game was purely lost before we loaded into the Rift. There was nothing we could do. Even layering in the Tahm Kench, it was completely pointless, right?
Yeah.
Like Tahm Kench is great at negating the thing that a team is trying to do, but not the things.
Not the 4 things. Yeah.
His cooldown on the Devour or whatever it is called, it's not 0.8 seconds. You know, it's not like he gets to rapid fire the thing as often as he wants. So yeah, there was nothing we could do.
Yeah.
And it doesn't make me like, there's no point where I was like, ooh, our players are not as good as theirs, or yeah. So I think I'm with you on that.
Yeah. So I just wanted to say that from the jump, because I know that people who are maybe like outside of the fan base would kind of like, wipe their nose at that take or whatever, because it's just like, okay, oh yeah, well, we weren't supposed to win because of the draft, blah, 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 who cares? Right. But I'm just putting it out there. That's how it feels. We had I'm gonna maybe work in some of these listener questions and takes as we go, if it's appropriate, and if I remember them. But one of them we got was from Squizmatic, who said, is it overreacting to think our loss was very troubling? We turned around well, but to have such a game where we hit such a low is troubling, in my opinion. And that's what I'm saying here, is like, it's just, as soon as one or two of those team fights goes their way with that series of perma-CCs, it's only going to get worse. You're not going to stay, neutral from that point on and lose by a little bit. It's like, no, it's just going to get worse and worse and worse as you go on. So I don't really feel like it's such a low, even though we did get crushed and it sucked. We had no kills. We didn't get a single kill in that game.
And we tried. Like, there were definitely, we got close. There were fights where we really made an effort just to get a kill.
Yeah.
But they were so far ahead at that point that we couldn't. And like the Varus shots were doing, I don't know, it looked like 200 HP damage, right? That's not where you need your Varus to be hitting at 20 minutes into the game.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's... Yeah, I agree with you.
Too bad? That's kind of how it is. It's like, too bad.
But it's this, right? The win condition of that comp is that you win the entire game, for the entire game. And that was like their win. Like there are teams you draft. It's like, we win at 25 minutes, right?
Yeah.
We win after lane phase. We have to endure the pressure of their early game, and then we win, right? If we can not get poked out by them, or build up enough resistances so that by the time we get into these situations where they want to poke us out, they can't do it. Those are situations where the early game might look rough, right? This team comp was basically hit level 6 and win. Yeah. And level 6 comes pretty early in a match, and they just started winning from that point, and they didn't really stop. So, and they were smart too. Like, no, I'm not trying to take anything away from CLG. The draft was super smart. It was a really novel look that no one was expecting, clearly. But they played it well too. Like, they were focused in their approach. They really punished the bot lane and just continued to show up and bring the next ult and the next ult. So after you've blown your Devour, your Flash, your Exhaust, like everything you possibly could to try to survive, there's still one more person waiting to knock you over. So they played it right, and they deserve the win.
Yeah, and I think like Bimtide in chat said it in a way that, I really agree with. He says, this was an upset. I think you walk away saying that won't happen again. And it's like, yeah, that's how I feel about the match. Kale Maldoran also said, as much as I want to sweep what that first game was under the rug, I think we should never forget it. Take a picture of the end results and frame it. Look at it before each game and never forget that it cannot happen again. Not in that fashion. 0 drags, rifts, kills, gold minus 12k.
Ooh.
It's like, yeah. And that's it for me. After that, I'm like, okay, cool. Yeah. We can't let that psycho draft happen again. And we won't. Yeah. And we'll be fine. Yeah. That's where I am on that. And so I don't think it's like, oh man, look at how awful everybody played. And like, this dude couldn't get this going. This guy couldn't get this going. It just doesn't feel like that kind of game. Now, I realize, again, that's excuses for our 2 losses this split that are eerily similar, right? Yeah. I fully get that. But it's just this perfect storm of a weird comp and a team that just decides to like destroy everybody on a weekend. They get hot. They pull off an upset, and that's the end of it. You know what I mean?
This is although I'd say Immortals maybe a little bit stickier. I don't know. It's interesting. It's kind of like, this is best of one things, right?
Right.
It's like, this is the way a best of one can go. And we're going to talk about that too later on.
Yes.
But here's the thing. I think there are actually pieces of the other games that were a bit more concerning, honestly.
Yes.
Even though we won those games and we looked good, right? But it's like, there are things that from those games, the thing that happened in this game that you cannot let happen again is that draft, right? Other games, there are things that you say, okay, this could happen in literally any game, and you got to watch out for it. You have to be aware of it, prepare for it, like practice to make sure this doesn't happen again. So it feels like, and if that draft happens again to us, or a draft similarly impossible to play against, we lose that game. That is what happens. What you don't want to have is the things where you should be winning a game, or you are winning a game, and you do stuff in the game that results in you giving a win away.
Yeah.
You know.
So a lot of what you look for in those situations to say, is this meaningful, is what happens in the successive games, right? So what happens the next day? How does the team handle it mentally? How do they bounce back? And what we saw in this weekend after that loss was like, just take a look at how different the drafts are, right? So our CLG game is Lee Sin top, Rumble, Orianna, Varus, Tahm Kench. And we lose to the perma-CC comp. And what do? We cleanse our minds with Nocturne top, Xin Zhao, Ryze, Senna, Ziggs.
That Ryze. Whew.
It's so different. It's so freaking different.
Yeah.
Like, it's unbelievable how different it is. We come out with something entirely different, something that we have not played. We haven't played like Huhi on Ziggs. we haven't played I don't think we've even played the Someday Nocturne for quite some time. Maybe not at all in the past year. And seeing Abba on a new to us champ, right, on the rise.
Yep.
And the fasting Senna is not a regular Senna, it's a fasting Senna.
Yep.
That's the kind of thing I want to see. What we got was a different look from Reapered. He said, all right, cool.
Yeah.
Let's move on to the next thing on my list of fun.
Noted. Moving on.
Yeah. And and like you said, we didn't look perfect in the FlyQuest game. We looked a lot better against Team Liquid, I think, than the FlyQuest game. There were some dark moments, but the point is, we switched it up, we refreshed ourselves, and we didn't let the CLG destruction ruin us. So, FlyQuest, a team that you feel pretty confident against if you're 100T, right? They've been struggling. Kind of sucks. It seems like they have some reasonably good players. But yeah, it's like you don't feel overly concerned, overly worried for that game. Right. Even and you pull out the funky stuff. I don't know if they pulled it out to test it or if they really thought that's like, hey man, we need to win this game and this is how we're going to do it. I kind of lean towards hey, what do you guys want to play? You want to play something different? Let's do it. Why not? I think we're really starting to see this attribute of our team emerge. We saw it last weekend. I think it's being solidified this weekend. Is that we are just gonna win lanes most of the time. We're just going to be ahead in gold by playing the game without fighting.
Right.
Most of the time. We may make a mistake here or two in the early game. We may give over more kills than we get, but we're typically going to be so ahead in lane that it doesn't really matter, and we're able to neutralize whatever mistakes are being made. And we are making mistakes.
Yeah. Believe
that we are making mistakes, but we're just feeling so comfortable in those lane matchups that it buys us the wiggle room. It's like you got to get the bad reps out. You know what I mean? Yeah. And the lane leads are letting us do that without losing the game.
Oh yeah, I think for me that's one of the most encouraging things, just because it's never really been that way for us. And here's what it there are so many times this split already that something has gone off, right? And in splits past, most recently, that happens, and I look up and we're down 2K gold. And it's like, well, here we go. That's going to be a tough one to overcome because it's 8 minutes into the game. And,
right.
All right. But now it happens, and I look up and we're either ahead or even. Worst case scenario, it feels like we're even. And that's pretty remarkable, But it does that. Like, if you are ahead in lane, I think that it plants the seed in other teams' minds that they are the ones who now need to be proactive and try to find plays. And it's almost like they're the ones who are like, we've seen what happens if you just let this team ride it out, right? Like, think back to the Orianna game, the first time we saw Orianna. I swear we had a 4K gold coming out of lane, right? And it was like they were suffocated. They couldn't do anything. They tried to play us in the mid to late game. I can't remember which. Maybe it was TSM, maybe. But it was
EG.
It was a disaster. EG, maybe. It was so bad. And so, it's kind of like, look, if you let this team just play and get a lead, they're going to suffocate you on the map. So I think the only other option is you got to try stuff. You got to try to make plays. And even that's looking a lot less reliable. Too, like, think back to Perks, right? Like, trying to make stuff happen.
Yeah,
he had a horrible game. It's one of the worst games he's had in the LCS. And I think a lot he was fighting in the river. He was fighting in, going for ganks in the lane that he just didn't have any business doing, and we were there ready for it. So that, I think, is, aside from, of course, having a power advantage, it's like you get into people's heads, you get into these teams' heads, and they start to think like, well, if we just let them keep this up, I don't like where it's going,
Yeah, it's like you cannot just play out the lane phase. You cannot do that against us, which is cool.
It hasn't gone well when it's been tried.
Yeah. So but I really believe that that's emerging as one of our characteristics, like our, how you describe the team. Last split we were the tower dive team early, right? But now we are the like win lane out CSM team.
Yeah.
Which, like, if you have that going for you, then everything else is possible. Everything else you want to do is possible, right? It's like you enable every single method of playing the game that you'd like to have, which is not a position we've ever been in before. Might I point out, even when we were really good in spring 2018. And it's pretty reliable at this point. Like, I would be very surprised if we come out of a game or two like, oh man, we actually were 1K behind at 9 minutes, 10 minutes. This is really bad. I'm gonna feel unusual about that because it's just looking so strong right now at the moment in this early game. So I'm happy about that because, again, we definitely made mistakes against FlyQuest, including one of the most like embarrassing NA sequences when we had, I think, what was it? Someday got dove in top lane, was it? Yeah. Is that how it happened? And he was 1v3 and he died. And then I think, was it Abba who TP'd in, but he didn't TP in time. And he kind of did what he could under tower, knowing he was going to die, and died. And then Closer showed up.
That happens, right?
Yeah.
Your TP is just a little slow and you show up and the party's already over, but unfortunately the other team's still there. Like, that happens. And
then Closer showed up after that had happened. And he's like, maybe I can clean up 2 of them. Because there were 2 that were kind of low,
Yeah.
2 health bars that were looking a little juicy, a little appetizing. And he just walks in there and dies. And it's just like one at a time. Boom, boom, boom. We died. That was really embarrassing, man. That was a nice little nostalgia back to old 100 Thieves.
Yeah. We tried our best to throw it. We little pump fake. Hey, you guys, you ready? Here comes.
It was not good. In general, just the FlyQuest thing, it wasn't super clean at all. And I think even like a strong point, like, I don't think even Abba played perfectly, even though he had a great Rise game for us, got super powerful. It wasn't perfect, but we were just doing what we do and finding ways to get leads everywhere else in other ways, Someday maybe had 1 or 2 kind of misplays, but they were misplays when he's like 1v2 and he's going for a kill when he should just retreat all the way or something like that. Just a bunch of stuff where it's like, we can clean that up. Yeah.
Yeah. We could and we should.
It's like I'm a new man with a new mid laner because I'm not. I basically destroyed the panic button. You know, as soon as we signed Abba, I disconnected it and threw it into trash. I just don't hit it anymore. You know, even when we're being stupid. So, and look, we won the game. We won the game pretty handily, in fact. Yeah. And if I'm not, I think Closer got a Baron steal, right?
Yeah.
He got a Baron steal. And like, we were already like, the tides were turning, and then the Baron steal happened. And then all of a sudden, we were massively in the lead off of the Baron.
Yeah. I mean, they got 2 towers, you know, like they weren't threatening us in a meaningful way in that game.
I bet it was kind of like, have you personally ever like competed against someone who's way better than you and you have a lead and you're just like, like, what do I do now? Like, how long is this going to last? Like, it's inevitable, you know, you're just kind of like waiting until like, how am I going to screw this up? That's probably how FlyQuest was playing. I know that feeling, man. It's like when I play Rocket League and like I get the ball on a breakaway and I'm just dribbling it and I could just drive it straight into the goal. But because I'm me, I don't know what to do. And I'm like, oh wait, they're going to fuck it. And I'm like trying to look around and I end up just missing the shot or whatever, even though I was
just drive straight
literally 1v0 on the breakaway.
Right.
That's probably how they were. Just watching that game. It's like, okay, all right, okay, we're doing kind of okay, and you know, maybe we can push this advantage, guys. Rally up.
They made some stupid plays, but you know, it's probably fine. We did some of that work, right? That was not all of them. Yeah, I don't know. It'd be interesting to see like how different that game would have been if we didn't steal the Baron. Maybe that, you know, like they for sure would have gotten some turrets out of that, I guess.
I think but we would have gotten kills. We definitely would have gotten kills. I think we got 2 kills anyway. And I feel like if they would have gotten Baron, we would have just continued to pursue. Right. I don't really think it would have made that material of a difference. And I also think even if it did, we would have still turned that game around. Because we were already just starting to outplay him at that point. Look, it wasn't the cleanest game is the point. It wasn't, but no, I never felt not confident in the team. On the back of losing embarrassingly to CLG, losing so bad to that comp, not even getting a single kill, and then just kind of having some stupid mistakes and struggling a bit to get our normal performance against FlyQuest for the first, 20 minutes of the game or whatever. I just never felt like we weren't going to turn it around. And that is the difference. That's how this 100 Thieves feels.
Right. It feels a bit inevitable when we're playing these games. I got to tell you, man, I absolutely love the Ziggs Senna bot lane.
Oh yeah.
I feel like there's not been a game we've played yet where I've been surprised by something in every game, I think, which is very surprising at this point in the season.
Yeah. We've done 9 games and we're still getting surprised. Yeah.
It's pretty wild. But that lane, you know, you look at their both of their stat lines at the end of it. Neither of them were a carry. You know, let's see. FBI finished 2-0-8, excellent game, and Ziggs, Hui was 0-2-3. But the pressure, they must have got first turret at like, I don't know, 12 minutes.
Yeah, it was really impressive. Fast. Yep.
And you know, just like that is another thing. They are always good in lane. They will always take a 2v2 play. And, you know, a lot of times they will get that kill. And the lane pressure was immense in this. And it was just, it's recognizing the strengths of our team and finding new ways to play to them, right? Which is so important. Obviously, that's not going to work all the time, but that's what you want to do. You want to build up a playbook of things that will work situationally, so that if that is an option, you can pull it out.
Yeah.
And
so like, hey, Kog'Maw's looking pretty strong. It's starting to come out more often. All right, guess what happens when we do this? You know what I mean? Like, we have it solved already.
Yeah. Or it's like he's building for the late game. His turret is gone, and he hasn't stepped out from underneath it the entire lane phase. So good luck. You know, like have fun farming from now on. Go somewhere else, I guess. That's your one option. So yeah, because you can imagine, right? There'll be games where if we pull that lookout, we're gonna be at their inhib turret by 20 minutes.
Yeah,
you got to watch out for that.
That's just what's gonna happen.
Yep.
So yeah, we pull out that game. And after looking just a little bit not like ourselves, it's almost like, you're sick, and then the day after you're sick and you're going back to work, it's like for the first few hours you're a little bit shaky, and then you're back to your normal self. It's kind of like what it was. And we got all healthy for the Team Liquid game, and that's all that mattered. Like that, serious. We're going into this weekend. That's the only game anyone cared about, right? Yeah. Now, I had the feeling that we were going to drop the game to Team Liquid. I really did. I made that prediction. I just felt like, they're a team who tends to pull it together and figure it out. I know that like some people in our Discord are like not tactical believers, and I've seen some hate Tactical's way, like just on his skill and everything. That dude can play. That dude can really play, and he's in there with Core JJ. Like, it's pretty nasty. In fact, actually, I was looking at Oracle's Elixir. Tactical's damage per game is 771. And the next highest is like 536. Like
damage per minute?
Or damage per minute, I'm sorry. Average damage per minute. Sorry, thank you. 771, man.
That's he's got a big percentage of damage on that team, is my guess.
I'm just not I'm not like on the same page as a lot of people who are saying that Tactical is not really that good. He seems pretty dang good to me. Even our chat right now is talking about it. But yeah, so ramping up to that game was really the big thing that was important. And I bet you it's what we spent as a team most of our time preparing for, right? That's really like the thing that, we wanted to do, was come in here and look, we've already beaten C9. We've already beaten TSM. Next name on the list is Team Liquid, right? And we came for them. And we came with something new. Again, another difference, right? We have Diana in the jungle, which was very potent. And look, honestly, if we are playing this game under previous coaching, I bet you that Closer is still either playing like Udyr or Rumble every game. Like 100%. no other options. No Xin Zhao, no Diana. It's just one of those two. Diana comes out, allowing him to style, allowing him to have fun. And what do? We draft Lee Sin, flex it to mid, and then move the mid laner to top. So it's like a flex, right?
Yeah, the double flex, the rare double flex.
The double flex. And then we have Huhi back on set, which we know from previous splits how impressive that can be. And FBI on Vayne, which it's been quite some time since we've gotten that as well. So just, again, completely different look, different things. I'm not sure anybody expected Abba to be in top lane. And
well, clearly the production staff didn't, because they had him listed in mid lane until about 8 minutes.
And then we just come out and we absolutely stomp them with something that we've never played on stage before. Like several components that are like, this isn't our usual deal here, and we still do it on stage. Yeah, man, it was something, and
it was.
Kudos to them. I'm again, you mentioned that I'm a proponent of losing games to keep you grounded. Thank goodness we lost that CLG game, because there was no way this team was going to lose to Team Liquid, man.
Right. And if you're going to lose a game, if you're going to drop a game here or there, best not to do it to the person who's nipping at your heels on the leaderboard. So well done. Extra credit on that one. Look, I'll say a couple things first. And it's that we just talked about Tactical. How you think he's great. Just like you don't doubt that he is a great player who will have a successful run in it. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but that's the sense I get from you, is like you think that he has the potential. Not his best game, 3, 6, and 5. He was saying, I think Saturday in the post-game interview, he's like, I think I'm the best AD in the league. I was like, I don't think you are.
I said nothing about FBI here. Yes. Yeah.
No, I know. But that, like, you know, I think Team Liquid right now, they need to do a little bit of self-reflection. I think they're 5-4 in the summer split. They're not a top team right now. They're not there. You know, they've had some roster changes. They've had some stuff move around. So, you know, I'm not trying to like take anything away. But right now, that is not the best. If you are playing against the other person who people say is the best AD, that's when you have to have your best games.
Right.
Now, granted, his team overall just didn't really have the game that was going to set him up, but he didn't look like the best AD in the league. That was FBI in this game.
Oh yeah.
The Vayne was nasty. It was an excellent, you know, kind of secondary carry. I thought the way this team came together, and the other one was going to talk about was Jensen, you know, and it was kind of a
Jensen
bummer.
Was 1v9. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a little bit of a bummer that he didn't get to lane against Abba, because I think Abba would have
smashed him.
Yep. But, you know, it is what it is. We get to play these guys 2 more times. That's the beauty of a triple round robin.
Yeah.
But look, closer, you know, so we talked about all the different things, all the different looks. Let's also keep track of who's carrying which games, because this is by far Closer's biggest carry performance.
Oh yeah.
Split since he's been on the team, I would say, since we signed him.
Yeah, it might be.
Just a terror. And look, here's the thing, and this is how Diana works. I haven't watched a ton of. She's not been meta a lot, so not a champion that I'm like, yep, you know exactly what to expect from Diana. But he was our engage. He was our go button. He would get in, he would blow everybody up, and he would hourglass.
And he was so judicious with it too.
Yeah, like he was. Oh, it was the freaking Akali ult that he hourglassed.
Yeah.
Oh, it was the R2, dude. Ooh, it was so nasty.
That was one of the. That's gonna be like a top 5 play from the year. Honestly, like it was so good. It even like at the beginning, that like before that part of the fight, you know, he hesitated on the ult. He didn't drop the ult too early. The casters called it out during the replay. Like felt confident they were going to get that first kill, and then he pops the ult to keep the 2 in play. Then the Zonya's at just the right time based purely on game feel.
Right.
Yeah, that was
because he had no, if I'm not mistaken, he had no visibility on her. She was fully shrouded, if I'm remembering right. So it's not like he could even see where she was. He just knew where she was likely to be and which direction she wanted to ult, and when. Boop, hit it, golden, and just like he was the trophy on that one, dude.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That was really, really something.
But sorry, the last thing I was gonna say, like he's our go button, right? He gets in, he blows the team up, and then who's there to clean up? You have Vayne, who was just feasting, ended 8-2 and 15, dude. Like it's such a gross stat line, and really like FBI was just free firing to so many of those fights, just clean up duty for the people who had like 300 to 400 HP left after the Diana ult. So another comp where this is not an easy comp to pull off, I'll say. Like I think you have to have a really high degree of confidence and proficiency to do what Closer did on the Diana. There is a version of this game where he is 2-11, right? And it's just like he just is the sacrificial engage, and there's not enough damage behind it. So yeah, that was impressive stuff overall.
Yeah, actually, so now that you're bringing up people's KDA lines, it's worth just reading through them. So Someday 2-2-5, Closer 11-2-9, Abba was 3-4-7, and about 3 of those deaths were unnecessary.
We're in lane.
FBI 8-2-15, and Huhi 2-1-18.
2-1-18 is absurd.
Yeah. So on the other side, Jenkins 2-5-3, Santorin 2-6-4, Jensen 3-3-1, and all 3 of those kills came on that one fight where he barely got away with it. Tactical 3-6-5, Core JJ 1-6-6. Guys, it wasn't close.
No,
it wasn't close against TL. Yes, they don't have Alfari. All right. If it was Alfari, maybe we keep our mid laner in mid lane.
Yeah.
Okay. It was not close. It was not close at all. And you love to see that against a team like Team Liquid. Yeah, actually, so that Jensen play, if you take that away, man, that game was like there's like not a single positive for Team Liquid, basically.
Yeah. I mean, you take that away and they've got 8 kills instead of 11, right? Like, and that was honestly just Viego being Viego, right?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, the mechanics on that one are still a bit foggy to me. Like I think there's a lot of healing happening and a lot of untargetables and etc. So I'm willing to kind of look by that one for a second. But
yeah. So interestingly enough, like I saw, this is something I did not like that I saw after the game. I saw a good number of people that were complaining that Abba looked bad in this game. Or the people saying that who's like, he didn't play well or something like that. And I just wanted to take a minute and like check the report card for him because so first of all, his stats, like if you go and look at his stats, it's actually kind of hard to suss out because of what he's played. Like it's been a little different. Like we play 3 games of Karma to start off the split. 33% of your games are on Karma. Like, your lane is going to look a little different. Your stats are going to look a little different. Right. It's also going to look different when you take Lee Sin into the top lane.
Yeah. Yep.
But he's been like transformatively good for us. We're talking about how we win every lane basically, and we never have to worry about it. He's a big part of that, right?
Yeah.
And so for everyone saying he played bad or he didn't look that good in this game, it's like for us to say that he had to take a jungle champion into top lane as a mid laner.
Right. Yeah.
And
it's a stretch.
Quite clearly on 2 or 3 of those deaths that made him look so bad, he was just going for like highlight reel, have fun stuff because we were blowing away. Like, yeah, so it's our mid laner takes a jungle champion into the top lane against a team that we're blowing out by like 15,000 gold. And it's like, I don't know, man. He didn't play that well. So,
yeah.
So guys, yeah, he trolled on a couple of those things. He trolled in base at the end trying to kill a tactical. Okay, cool. He trolled against Jenkins. He trolled a couple times. It's cool. We destroy him so much that it doesn't matter. If that's what it takes for people to say, I don't know, man, he's not that good.
Right. It's like you go to practice and you only shoot with your left hand, and people are like, this dude's jumper is garbage.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, with my left, yes, that's true.
Oh man. And let's not forget he still made one of the best plays of the match when he protected closer from the shutdown with the Lee Sin kick over the wall.
Oh,
on whoever that was. Yeah.
So good.
Yeah.
So good.
He like kicked him over the wall for the executes that he couldn't get closer out of the Zonias.
Yeah. It's while we're talking about Lee Sin, I will say I don't feel like I fully get how he figures into our comps. And this is not me suggesting that it's a bad pick. I will just say it doesn't play as clear a role as some of the other champions do. I guess I don't really have a lot else to say about that, but like, it seems more situational and like,
Yeah, this isn't where we excel because we're not league analysts, right? But champion that's known for wave clear, split push potential, mobility, and engage.
Yeah, and I think that's my takeaway is I don't feel like the games where we've seen him play, and so I'm not meaning to try to analyze how valuable Lee Sin is in your team. I'm just trying to say I don't feel like the games where we picked him up, that's been the champion where I'm like, glad we got Lee Sin.
Yeah,
it's neither here nor there, but I guess that's the one I'm less convinced on as being kind of a long-term fixture of this team at this point.
Well, I mean, some days played him 3 times this split, so Lee Sin's been a part of almost half of our games.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know the details on the next patch on 11.13. I don't know what that's going to look like for Lee Sin because I'm not that nerdy about the patches or whatever. So we'll see. Yeah. But I think there's clearly some utility there. It's clearly working for us in a way that makes sense. Even when Abba plays it, and even when he trolls away a couple of kills, and we still blow out Team Liquid like swatting away a fly or something. So we would need to absolutely need to talk about Huhi also.
Yeah.
So we made a point to give him some credit for this split in the last pod because he's been excellent. So this weekend playing the Ziggs and playing the set. The Ziggs we talked about, it was great. The set was devastating, and he's shown this in previous splits, right? His set is so problematic for other teams.
Yeah.
It's just so good. Like in this game, in the early game, they were joking about how like he was the carry in this, and it was a fasting vein, right?
Yeah.
Because he was just coming through and getting everything done, and always getting 2 or 3 with the face breakers at the critical moment.
Flashing for him. He got a kill off a face breaker at one point. It's like, ooh.
Haymakers always perfectly timed. Like this guy is so cracked on set.
Yeah.
That I can't believe it. And how lucky are we that we get to have him play in this comp? Like, oh dude, my goodness. He's having such an awesome split, man. I don't know how much credit he's getting for it out there. He is having such an awesome split.
Yeah, certainly less than is deserved. I think as with supports go, it feels like supports, surprise, just tend to find on the radar unless your name's Core JJ. I'd say, Vulcan for a while there had his moment, but Poom, obviously. I think for me, the thing that just continues to blow me away about Huhi, and this is no surprise, is the versatility. He is so versatile. He is as comfortable, more comfortable than any other support in a situation where he is, expected to carry. And like he played a lot of mid. He's used to that. And I'm not saying like take over a game, but I'm saying in a fight, like we saw against TL, when the tides turn and suddenly you are the primary damage dealer, right? Like you need to land a shot if you both want to win. Like he is not about dropping a shield. Like, of course he can do that. But like that is not his mentality, right? He's not just there to make sure that FBI can win fights. The dude is as big a threat in a lot of these fights as FBI. If he's on Ziggs, if he's on set, like if you forget about he will punish you, and that is awesome. I love that about him. Like let's never forget, please, the 1v1 as Leona. I think that was against Huni, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, where he cleaned up Huni on the backside. Yeah. I do remember that.
One of my favorite all-time
in bot lane, they like, oh wait, let's leave Huhi there. Yeah. He can clean up Huni. And the rest of the team just leaves and keeps pressing forward to the lane. Huni stays back as Leona to finish him off. Oh my gosh.
That's so good. So yeah, man, I think what an addition he is to this entire team. And like, we're not talking about like his set play. I remember early on, he started bringing out the set for us. And I was just like, dude, he is always there sprinting at somebody and like catching them off guard and then just dunking them back into the team. Yeah. So it's so varied, like the contributions he makes. Always a problem for them. So yes, tip of the hat to Huhi on this one.
Man. So a nice, easy destruction of Team Liquid means that, as we said, we took down the Titans of LCS in the first round robin. And none of those games, none of them were even remotely close.
No.
Absolute destruction of C9. Absolute destruction of TSM. Absolute destruction of Team Liquid. So I know that there are teams having roster weirdness right now.
Yep.
And we're certainly benefiting from that. But we have asserted our dominance in such a way that they're already on broadcast talking about us as the best team. Mm-hmm. Like I think, was it Crumbs this weekend that like legit said that on the on the broadcast? He's like the best team, 100 Thieves, the best team in the LCS. Somebody said, I don't know if it was him or somebody else. Like, it's just great. Like we have checked all the boxes. The only boxes we forgot to check were the CLG and Immortals boxes, which we'll come back to. I'm not worried about. But we're in such a good position right now, right? Such a good position right now. And a lot of it, like, as we said before, the credit really goes to everyone. Like, Who is not doing a good job on this team? But Reapered, man.
Oh.
Look at what he's done up to this point. I can't say it enough. We've had like 4 times the draft variance already in this split as we would have gotten under the previous regime in a full split. Okay. And this weekend, his fairly normal kind of meta comp gets beat by CLG's weirdness. He comes out with the Nocturne, Xin Zhao, Rise, Senna, Ziggs. And then follows that with Renekton, Diana, Lee Sin, flex to top on our mid laner, Vayne and Set. If you just think about the different looks that we've had this split, it just, we said last week, how do you prepare against us? Like, what do you do to prepare? I guess CLG figured out you draft a one-time comp that's going to get you a weird one-time win.
Right.
But you better have more than that, because we've got the Karma mid, we've got the Rumble jungle, we've got assassin mids, we've got control mage mids, we've got fasting Senna, we've got Ziggs bot, we've got Diana jungle, we can flex our mid laners around, we can flex our picks around. What is anybody going to do against that in a best of 5?
Dude, there's nothing. Like, I don't know.
You can big brain us once. I feel like you can big brain us once. CLG did it, right? They big brained us on a weird draft. You have to do that 3 times in a single series against us in playoffs. Right. And it just with we're a third of the way through the games, and we already have more than you can really prepare for. Yeah.
We showed more than 5 distinct looks that are all very successful, which is an interesting place to be. And I think, again, to come back to the point we made earlier, the foundation of this is just that our players are better, right? Like, for me, when I think about lane phase, a lot of it is just how, like, what is the direct one-to-one comparison? Obviously, there's you got ganks, you got roams, all that stuff, but our players are just better than the other players in a lot of situations. That is a really big challenge in itself, right? It's not like we come up with these sneaky things, but we have this weak point. I mean, legit, FBI, Huhi, best bot lane, right? Abba is showing that he is, certainly in the conversation for best mid lane. Someday has always been kind of top 3.
Yeah, he had that potential, right? He's like, we know his ceiling puts him there. He's a little inconsistent under previous coaches. Now he's not looking very inconsistent. He's made a couple mistakes, but like on the whole, yeah, for sure.
So that's what it all comes back to for me, is that's the first thing you got to try to prepare for, right? Like, let's think back just a split when we weren't in this situation, when we didn't have, like, preparing to play against a team who has a player that is just better than you in a lane is tough, because you're not thinking about how can we beat them. It's how can we not lose through this point on the map. And sometimes the answer is you can't, right? You just have to try to lose less. So we're already, and it's what you talked about earlier. We're already putting ourselves in a spot where, it's basically like, what's the approach we want to take to accelerate the advantages we already have from lane? Like, what are we going to do with all this gold we have over the other team? Are we going to dump it into closer? Like, is he going to be the one who explodes our team? Or is it going to be FBI this game? Like, you can think ahead about how you want to try to stop us from blowing up your Nexus. But if you don't account in some way for the fact that we're going to have a significant gold lead by the time we even get to the mid game, it's like, that I think that is the real challenge for teams right now. It's, geez, like, how do you even put the brakes on us?
Yeah. And like, one of my favorite things too, and not that we're there or whatever, but it's like, guess who we have on deck? Kenvi, Luger, Tenacity. Like, we have nasty players like waiting in the wings too, in case in the unlikely event that somebody mental booms. We also have what appear to be like cracked players coming up right underneath. It's just, it's crazy. I can't believe we're in this position right now. It's just, we're going to be so tough to beat. Look, and again, we're not going to win every game for the rest of the split, guys. We're not. I get it. But we are looking, we don't need to. We're looking like we're going to be a serious problem in the playoffs. We absolutely are a title contender. And the only thing left, man, is like, what is, what's the new item? What's the new meta? We have like banner command, whatever coming back. Whatever it's called. Can we get a read on that and solve it so that when we transition into that patch, everything's okay? That's like really the only threat. So I feel like, as crazy as it is, like comp wise, draft wise, skill wise, I feel like we've shown enough in just the first third of Summer Split that we're like prepared. It's like we're already like set up for playoffs. So now it's just we can spend the time really paying attention to meta and items and stuff from here on out. So especially with other teams spotting us the advantage of benching their really, really good players.
Well, hey, look, on that point, because it's a good one to bring up. It's we know this probably better than anyone in the LCS. It's one thing to have great players signed to your organization. It's another thing to get them to play together and work as a team, and like to have the personnel issues ironed out, to have the player coach dynamic right. And look, we should be super clear. These things are never out of the equation. This could happen to anyone at any time. And that's why we talked at times about what is like the vibe, right? Yeah. Vibe seems to be really good with this team. That's a great thing. So it seems unlikely at this point that we're going to have kind of an Alfari situation pop up, but you never know, one. And two, look, your job as an organization is to field a team. And if your team is so dysfunctional that you can't field it, sorry. And that's what the answer was to us when we couldn't put our best 5 players on the field, right? Or the Rift. So for me, like, it's not like we would be the best if only we had access to our best players. It's like that you don't get to use that card because the only person to look at is yourself on that one, right? Yeah. Like, it's like if you forget to change the oil filter on your car, or like change your oil, and then your engine explodes, but you had a great engine. It's like, it's still not a fast car. Just because you have a great engine, but you forgot to maintain it, like, it doesn't count, right? You're not going to win a race. So you got to put the work into actually having a team that can function as a team. And right now it seems like a lot of other organizations are struggling to do that.
And this has been Car Talk with the dads.
It's the extent of my knowledge, by the way. Don't ask me anything else. Just like how to play League.
The extent of your car knowledge is if you don't change the oil, your engine will blow up.
Yeah.
Checks out on the day after Father's Day. All right, let's go into some listener takes. We'll do listener takes and then predictions for next week. I do want to throw out one little tidbit, because there is actually, I thought of one other way that, other things can start losing. And thanks to our friend Austin Beck, AJ Beck 05, we know what that is. And that is if Raz and Captain Flowers cast more 100T games. Mm. So AJ points out that we are 0-2 when Raz and Captain Flowers are casting. Yeah. And he also points out further, because he's that kind of analyst. He says it's important to note that Freak and Azael have casted our wins against C9, TSM, and TL, the top 3 teams. So Freak and Azael are the golden boys here for us. All right, let's go on to listener takes, and shout out to AJ Beck for providing us the stats that really matter.
100 Talk Stats Department, Cole.
Yeah, the official 100 Talk Statistician, AJ Beck 05, which, by the way, send those stats my way. I love nothing more than a weird stat like that. Okay, first listener question, or I guess the first one we're going to talk about during this stretch. Luca Sunter Lion on Twitter said, teams are only averaging 3 to 6 kills against us, especially the big teams, which shows just how dominant we are, that these Titans are practically doing nothing all game against us. And I just like that observation. It was like, look, we're not giving over kills. If you watch our team fights, like most of the time, especially in the earlier fights where we're not so far ahead. It's like we're getting out of there with really tiny health bars and like 3 kills and no giveaways, right? It's just like pretty consistent the way we team fight, that we know the limits really, really well.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to say is early on and I mentioned this, I think maybe last week or 2 weeks ago, but I said, I'm worried that if we are playing against a better team, they're going to have like the differential is going to be 200 HP, which is going to mean that we lose 2 people, right? Like, as time goes, it seems like more and more we just know the limits well. Like if this is how fights are ending consistently for you, it's not because you're lucky, it's because you know what you can do and you do it. So, it's tipping more and more towards this is just how good we are in understanding what we can do.
Yeah. Okay, Militime sent this to me. Old friend Militime. Owner of a 100 Talk Founders badge on Twitch, says, a hot take. You said on the last pod that no roster changes will happen, but I'm going to go out on a limb and say one will happen.
Ooh.
But not for the reasons we usually expect. Kenvi will play with the first team before the split is over.
Oh.
Jordan, do you agree? Do you think we're going to get some Kenvi in on the LCS stage before this split is over?
That'll be really interesting. I think if it continues to go this way, like so right now we are 7-2 in the first round robin. I mentioned this to you earlier. Most other teams, well, except for TSM, who's also 7-2, everybody else is either 5-4 or lower. If we do the second round robin at a similar clip, we're going to have a cushion, right? And I think one of the things you earn when you have a cushion when it comes to playoff seeding is the ability to try things. And this is what I'll say. If Reapered can do this in a way that doesn't feel punitive and it doesn't feel like we don't have confidence in our first team, and in a way that makes it so that we don't basically mental boom anybody, fantastic. Yes, please. Let's do that. And if for no other reason, honestly, then like, hey, I would love to be the team that has players that other teams want on the market.
Yeah.
How great would that be? For even just from like a health of organization standpoint, a little shot of cash, never hurt anybody. So I think we're getting to that point, right? Like our academy team is gross. These guys are all smurfing in academy, so guarantee you there are eyes on them. If you can get them some stage time in the LCS and they show up in a similar way, valuation just shot up. So I'd love to see it from an org perspective. I don't know that we need it from a do we run a 6-man perspective? But
it's interesting that we have the extra 9 games to play with in the split, and we have a coach who is not afraid to do something like that. So I don't think it's as out of the question as you might think otherwise, but it kind of feels like Kenvi is going to be that desirable whether he plays in LCS or not. And so for me, it's like, might as well just keep the synergy train rolling with the main roster and let people believe Kenvi's amazing because we know he is and he doesn't need to prove it on stage yet. I don't know. I kind of lean that way, but I wouldn't be shocked out of my chair if it happened. I'd be surprised, but I wouldn't be like totally shocked. So, Karlski01 says, I think he might be the best set player in the league at any role. I absolutely love when he locks in this champion. Yep. We talked about how nasty his set is. Best at any role means better than any top laner playing it. Mm-hmm. That's tough. It's a different kind of set build, I guess. Not too different, but it's a different kind of approach to it. I'm just going to go ahead and say yes. Why not? Yeah. Whose set is more impactful right now than Huhi's?
Right.
Good question. I haven't watched all the games though. And actually DJ Morale said what I was afraid to say. So I was thinking about saying this. He says Solo has a really good set. And you guys know how much I dislike the most swagless NA Solo. But yeah, I agree, man. His set is actually really, really good. I will say that. I'll give him his props for that. Mont asks, or Amont observes that I want to see us do more fasting Senna and mid lane mage bot. This is something unique that only we can really pull off because Huhi's mid lane champ pool. I probably wouldn't say that that's going to be 100 Thieves exclusive, but it is really cool to see. And yeah, I would love to see more of that too, just as something else to prepare for.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I like it. I like the idea. You know, it's kind of like, you remember when they released Senna and they were like, oh, it's a marksman support. And then has she ever been playing support ever in LCS? I don't know. Maybe there's once or twice. I don't know. Or maybe I'm just forgetting it. But clearly a favorite of ADCs. 100%. Here's what I'll say on that. I think like I wouldn't be super excited if it was Huhi on Orianna, right?
Yeah.
Although I don't know, maybe I spoke too soon. Maybe
he's got a sick Orianna.
Well, yeah, like no doubt he has a lot of.
He can
Orianna
play
reps.
it. We know he can play it. Yeah,
he can play it. Here's the thing, right? Like it needs to serve a specific purpose. So the Ziggs is cool because it just amplifies what is already, a win potential for our bot lane. Just absolute turret destruction. So I would want to see him. And here's why I almost took it back before I even finished saying it. Guess who has a deep champion pool? So in the same way that he can allow FBI to play a different style of marksman, maybe he could do the same with Abbedagge, right? Like if you have Huhi on a farming support mage, what doors does that open for Abbedagge to play? And not like he's gonna play, but if his job isn't to press our shockwave in a team fight, it just opens the door for him to do different things too. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see it. It does feel to me like they have a very specific purpose in mind when they do it. I say like as if they've done it more than once, but the Ziggs had a pretty specific thing in the game plan. So, but hey, clearly Huhi has, the track record to play it.
Yeah. Let's see. We did Squiz. We did Kale. JC101 says someday looks best when he's secondary engage, supporting our team fights by causing havoc and picking specific targets. His overall play elevates the team, improving on the engages by Closer and Huhi. This is a weird thing to kind of comment on, but I do feel like I get this weird sense in my head that when I picture someday ruining fights for people, he's coming in on a flank after the fight started, or he did some crazy repositioning of the fight and just like changed it with a single decision like that. It does seem like that. It doesn't seem like he's the guy who has the flash engage go button. Yeah. So it's kind of like a nuanced kind of way to talk about someday who's a beast. But it's like, think about that on was it Power of Evil where he did the Jason gauge on him, like just ran right in and just blew him up and reversed the course of that game. I think that was last year. Like some of his Renekton flanks. Mm-hmm. Some of his Aatrox cleanups. Yeah, the Wukong. Yeah. Yep.
Right. Like I think that, I like this take. I think that's a really kind of smart way to look at it. And I think it's right. Like a lot of the times someday is there. And the thing about someday is he's always enough of a threat that you don't get to ignore him. Right. So it's like you have your whole team fight going and then suddenly here's someday. Right. And he's just wiping you guys out. So yeah. And I think that's partially probably the reason that he has never been, I don't know. I don't know if this is just his style of play or what, but like he's never been our primary carry. And for a long time we wondered like, well, why isn't he? I think partially it's because I think the meta has not favored primary carries top lane like ever. So I think this is actually just a really favorable meta for him. And it's a really favorable roster because we have basically 3 potential carries now in the other lanes where you can have potential carries, which takes the pressure off him to need to be doing the most damage in a fight. He gets to focus instead on just being a big threat.
Yeah. DJ Morali says, how concerned should we be around the questionable plays in top lane against FlyQuest? I personally think it's damning of the communication problems not being fixed despite Reapered being brought in. your take, your reaction to that. We kind of talked about it.
Yeah. Communication problems. I don't know. I think it's I'll say this. I think there's a couple ways you could look at it. One is that we're still not talking. And look, the very first thing that happens in this, these fights always end up being a TP race, right? Because if you're 2v3, you can almost always fend them off, and you have the turret as your third champion. But the fight was over before Ava got there, so like you could look at that and say he should have been faster to press teleport, and that's fine. And then clearly Closer just was way late to the party. So I think there are two primary ways you can look at it. One is communication problems. The other one is this is them being told, just like, hey, if it's a low percentage play, and we are at this point, we have an approximate lead or lead, go for it. Take that play, right? If you genuinely believe that you can get a kill or two, go for it. Make the play. And maybe that's what's been communicated to them. Like maybe that's partially what Reapered means when he says, I'm just going to ask them to play, like be the best player they can be. So when that is your style, there are going to be situations where you look at it and you're like, well, didn't work out. Because if all you ever do is encourage the safe plays, you don't see a lot of the plays that have been definitive of this team up to this point in the split.
Yeah, and I guess that's what I would say is like look at the comms videos that we've seen so far. It's like somebody's communicating more than we've ever known him to. I think in general the team has looked really, really good, really, really cohesive, especially during fights. So yeah, I'm sure that there's going to be a communication slip up here and there. That's always going to be the case. I don't think that this is a concern though. And in chat, DJ Morale said, I mean, it's a hot take. Well, you know what show you're on, man. We're not hot takers. we're right takers. We go.
It's not a bad question. It's a good question to ask, right? Like there's nothing wrong with that idea because
except that it's wrong, Jordan.
There's your hot take. It was a bad play, and
it was a very bad play.
Bad plays.
Yep. Shout out DJ Morale for noticing it was a bad play. Okay,
keep honest.
One more. Friend from Flight Check Crew, the FlyQuest equivalent of what we do here. So check them out at Flight Check Crew. Who says this Curly QQ? He says, when you guys make the LCS finals and potentially win, will you win at least one match at Worlds? And he says, by the way, my take is that I firmly believe 100T can win Summer. First of all, yes, I firmly too believe that we can win Summer. So if we make Worlds, will we win a single match, Jordan?
Yeah, for sure.
For sure.
And the reason I say that is because we've been to Worlds and won a match, and we were a far inferior team.
Yeah, we won 2 matches at Worlds because you get 2 cracks at that lower team.
T-Rex. So look, you never know what death group you're going to be in. You never know which teams are going to show up at Worlds. So it's hard
we got the 2 Worlds finalists and we still came out with 2 wins.
Yeah. So I think we do. For me, the question is if we're getting way ahead of ourselves now, but it's do we start to pick up wins against other major
teams
regions?
that matter?
Yep. And that's here you have to do that if you want to get out of groups. So that's the next question you have to ask.
And I'll go ahead and say it, man. I think if we play to our potential, yes, we can do that. I absolutely think we can. If we play as well as we've seen them play so far, I do think we can. So if you guys count that a hot take, that's going to be my hot take. But like, I legit think that, we could. I'm not saying like we definitely get out of groups, but I'm saying if we play like we did against TSM, we're going to win.
That's true.
We're going to win some games, and we have potential to knock off some of these other big teams. I believe.
The one thing that continues to scare me, Cole, is I think the other Worlds teams from NA that, as we would consider them and talk about them with their past, they feel shaky still. And I brought this up before, and I'll continue to bring it up. I agree with you. I think we look really good. I'm worried that NA is weaker now than it usually is at this point in the season. And that gives me some pause.
but like, doesn't the eye test tell you something different about this team though? Like that's for me. I mentioned it. We didn't feel like an NA team, right? When we're at our best, we don't feel like an NA team. So I just the eye test to me says that our ceiling is high enough to be competitive at Worlds, and we're playing under a coach who's taken NA reasonably far at Worlds. Yeah. So not to mention his other Worlds experience. So yeah, I feel like we can. Yeah. So there you go, Curly QQ. If ever there was a hot take from me, that's it. All right, Jordan, next week we're looking at Dignitas on Friday. They're currently 14-13 in the aggregate, and last week they were 0-3, losing to CLG, TSM, and Golden Guardians. Do we pick up a dub, Jordan?
This is after they subbed Dardoch out on Friday. He was subbed out for Saturday's game.
I believe so.
Yeah, I think that's a dub for us.
And Saligo still subbed out, I believe, as well.
Yep.
Saligo, fun fact, highest KDA among mid laners. It's just a notch higher than Abadagas.
Not enough to keep the job, unfortunately.
Yeah. So you think that's a dub for us?
Yes.
Is there any downfall here?
Not that I see.
Here's what's surprising about Dignitas. Maybe you know this, Jordan. What in the past 7 games, what would you guess their record is?
Well, 7 games. Ooh, it's not great. Maybe is it 4-3?
They are 1-6.
That's worse than I guessed.
They have won 1 of their last 7 games. They've lost to CLG, TSM, Golden Guardians, Cloud9, Team Liquid, and us. They beat Immortals in week 2. But yeah, they're one of their last 7. I was surprised because they just felt better than that to me.
Yeah, I agree. And the record,
the subs though, the subs are just killing them. It's gonna be hard if you keep having those roster changes. If they put in the original guys, I think this is, a little more in reach for them. Maybe give them 10% chance against us, but it's just hard to think that we're going to drop that game. So I'm predicting a dub as well against Dignitas. Jordan, Saturday, we have the second running of El Blásico for the summer split. We have C9 sitting at 17-10, but they too went 0-3 this past weekend, losing to EG, Immortals, and TSM. Your thoughts, good sir?
Well, Cole, we beat them handily once. They seem to be slumping. I predict that we beat them a second time.
Their wins, by the way, they're 4-5 this split. Their wins coming against Team Liquid, FlyQuest, CLG, and Dignitas all in a row. There were 4 wins, and then they lost 3 in a row.
Yeah, early on.
Not the strongest slate of teams to win against, right? The King substitution is a big no. I don't. No, none of us fully understand what's going on there. They're struggling. Perks is always the hope. Fudge does tend to try and he just tends to play well against us. I think Freak has dialed it back though. He's back on our side. I don't know, man. I think we're winning this game as well.
Yeah.
I'm gonna predict the dub again against C9. Turning the tables on the rivalry. So
yeah. The blah is going their way. Cole, they're gonna bring the blah home.
Right. So Sunday, we have Immortals who are sitting at 12-15. Last week they were 2-1. Wins against C9 and FlyQuest, and a loss against TSM. Jordan, the revenge game against Immortals. How do you think we do?
I feel like I predict only wins now, and I never say anything about why I think we're going to win. I'm gonna mix it up. I'm gonna say we lose this game. Immortals still a sneaky strong team, I'm gonna say. And look, I think they're better than FlyQuest. They just beat FlyQuest. And FlyQuest gave us a little bit of a tricky time. So we come off a big win over C9. We focus on that game. This is a trap game. We get caught by Immortals. They go 2-0 on us in the split. What an outcome. I can't believe it, Cole. Almost had him. Not quite. What do you think?
Do you believe what you just said?
Yeah, I do.
Trust your instincts. You think we lose?
I think we lose. I don't know. I think Immortals is just kind of one of those teams. Like they got us once. This is where the point I'm coming to with this team. I think there are going to be games. I think we're going to keep trying stuff, as we should. And if we go 2-1 every weekend, there's a really good chance we win the LCS. And if we start falling behind, we just, put our pedal to the metal. So I don't think it's likely. Like, I think it's not like there's no way we beat them, but I'm going to say, I think there's going to be games we continue to drop. And I think this could be one of them. So I got to mix it up. I got to keep it fresh, right? I can't just be the boring guy who says 3-0 every weekend.
Jordan out here sounding like a regular Cole with his predictions, shying away from the 3-0, just thinking that we're going to get trapped in a game. But this is 2021 Cole. And 2021 Prophet Cole knows that this is a 3-0 week. 3-0. We're getting the 3-0 this week. Prophet Cole has spoken. We are getting all 3 doves this weekend. All right. Do you know what the funny thing is, Jordan? I too think we're going to stumble against Immortals, but not hard enough to lose. All right.
Okay. Yep.
I think we win.
Hey, if we can continue to stumble without falling, even better. That's good practice, right?
Yeah.
There you go. All right.
So I'm predicting 3-0. Jordan's predicting 2-1. I am feeling this team right now, man.
Yeah.
Zach 509 says, didn't Prophet Cole predict a TL loss? Prophet Cole predicted a 2-1 weekend. Zach, just reminding you, remind the people what's going on here. And the record is always right. Look, I'm perfect on the split record wise. We're going to make it continue to be perfect after week 4, 3-0. Let's go, everybody. Okay. Couple reminders, guys. We have our 3rd birthday this Thursday, the 24th. In just 3 days, it is the 3rd anniversary of 100 Talks formation. When Jordan and I turn on a camera in Google Hangouts, broadcast to no one about 100 Thieves. And since then, it's been 3 great years. And we have a giveaway going right now for a Dino Sword, right? You'd be preparing your fan content. We're going to give this to whoever tweets us the best 100 Talk fan content on that day, on Thursday. So pictures, songs, poetry, drawings, videos, fanfic. Whatever. Fanfic. Someone promised a fanfic. I'd love it. Just be creative and have fun.
Lore.
And we'll give, even if you're international and the shipping's going to be bonkers, we're still sending one of these over to you. Also, guess what? That's a Rec League day.
Oh,
our birthday is on a Rec League day. So we're going to be having a nice special Rec League format to be announced. I'll leak this. Jordan and I return to the Rift. This Thursday, opposite each other, leading teams in a glorious battle. There will be prizes. There will be lots of prizes given away. It's going to be good, guys. So don't forget to sign up for that. We want to make it a really, really, really great, fun Thursday. Okay, so please be there. Even if you're terrible at the game, sign up to play. Let's have some fun.
So are we.
Yeah, fun fact. So are we. And then right after that's done, we get a 3-0 weekend to look forward to with the LCS team. This is just this. We should just make this 100 Talk week. This is just 100 Talk week from now.
There you go. That's it. Cole, nice of the team to give us the 3-0 in honor of our 3rd birthday.
That's right. Wow. It's a birthday gift to us, truly. So yeah, let's have a really fun week, guys. We're going to wrap up here We're going to switch over to Hotline League. We'll host Travis so we can go to Hotline League where Ryoma is the guest. So that should be actually super interesting to have him on Hotline League. We'll go ahead and do that. In the meantime, we'll say, as always, guys, we love you and we miss you already.
Take care.
Stick with us for the Travis Gafford raid with Ryoma.
Travis Gaffy.
You guys are the best. Stick around. We'll see you soon.